Nintendo!
Hey everyone, it's Chrono, and in this video, I wanted to talk about my thoughts on the Sorcerer class ever since the patch came out last week. Now, ever since the game launched, the only class I've played is Rogue. As you can see from my character select screen here, I have nothing but 5 level 100 rogues here, and all of their game time combined probably totals to over 700 hours. Despite having played that much, I still see myself playing nothing but Rogue going forward. Like, it's definitely going to be what I main for the next couple seasons at the very least, if not for the entire lifespan of Diablo 4. I was the type of player who only played Demon Hunter for the entire decade that D3 was current. I've always enjoyed glass cannon types of characters, ones that can dish out tons of damage, but can't necessarily take that much in return. It's very rewarding to engage in gameplay, where you're rewarded for good positioning, movement, precise timing of cooldowns to turn the tides of battle, and just good awareness in general. And Rogue definitely offers that in Diablo 4. Sorcerer was always on my radar as a secondary option, but I was very wary of how they were being perceived by other players, due to lack of build variety and how squishy they were. Because of these factors, I chose to wait for changes to address these issues before I tried them out. And also because I was having so much fun with Rogue, it didn't make sense to put myself through misery for the sake of variety. Now, I haven't played this class since open beta back in March, so I can't say how the endgame compares between now and before last week. But I can say that the lightning builds for the class feel amazing right now. I leveled a hardcore chain lightning sorc all the way to max level, and was able to survive clearing a tier 100 Older's Cave. The true test was whether or not I could tank a charge from one of the boars, and I can in fact confirm that if you prioritize building your character defensively, you can take a charge to the face without losing your cheat death, and still have the damage to comfortably complete a high nightmare dungeon. If you ever have an interest in playing Sorcerer on hardcore, I'd highly suggest going Lightning with Veers as the key passive, and Mage Lord as one of your defensive aspects, as these allow you to face tank pretty much everything in the game. As far as the character progression goes, Sorcs still obliterate the early game with Chain Lightning. Using the Fireball enchant, you can AoE farm your way to the first capstone in about 2 hours. The only part of the journey that kinda feels bad is the mid-game, where your resource really holds you back. You don't start seeing resource regen as a stat on your gear until you get into World Tier 4, and then it starts showing up on Ancestral Rings and Offhands. But before then, even if you get a good amount of mana cost reduction and use 2 resource aspects, you'll find yourself in situations where if you don't clear the whole room with 1 pool of mana, then you're standing around waiting 3 to 5 seconds to be able to cast again. I honestly don't see a big issue with allowing Sacred Gear to roll resource regen to alleviate this, because gatekeeping one of your biggest power spikes behind an ancestral stat arbitrarily slows down the experience. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of players don't stick around long enough to see how great the class feels when you have infinite mana. With Lightning specifically, I love how there are so many options that give you space to make compromises between offense and defense. This was my first time leveling a Sorc all the way to 100, and it was on hardcore, so I had a heavy emphasis on making a defensive build. But there are a lot of crazy ways to make a full-on lightning sorcerer that pelts the entire screen with lightning effects, doing obscene damage with both an AoE and single target. So what are my thoughts on the class as of right now? It definitely felt like it was worth the time investment to try something new. In fact, I'm actually in the process of leveling a Fireball sorcerer, so that must be a sign that I'm having fun to some extent. The build variety definitely opened up big time for them. You can actually make a strong in-game build for any of the 3 elements now. Are they still squishy? Yeah, but honestly that's what I'd expect from a glass cannon class, and it's not like you don't have ways to mitigate it. You just have to compromise some of your offense to do so. People often bring up resistances not working as the culprit for sorcerers being fragile, but the real enemy is their lack of armor. It's not the magic damage that I'm afraid of. The true enemy is getting one-shot by a charger or a crossbow from off-screen. If you were hesitant about playing the class before this patch, I'd say it's 100% worth trying if you wanted to play something different without feeling pigeonholed into playing 1 or 2 build options. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about the class changes so far, and whether or not you plan on trying the class for the first time yourselves. I'm gonna head back to the grind and hopefully do a tier 100 on my Fireball sorcerer soon. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.